What's going on, guys? It's Electric VyPr here, and today's a very big day in the NBA. For those of you who don't know what today is, it is the NBA trade deadline, and since it's already passed, all the trades have been made, so let's analyze the very big ones that were made today. So starting off today's big trades, we had a trade between the Los Angeles Lakers and the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Lakers ended up getting Isaiah Thomas, Channing Frye, and the first round pick from the Cleveland Cavaliers, while Cleveland got Jordan Clarkson and Larry Nance Jr. For the Lakers, it's really more of a salary dump move. Isaiah Thomas and Channing Frye are both going to be free agents at the end of the year, and they got rid of some pretty big contracts with Clarkson and Nance. So really, this is just going to help them for the future. They're a young team. That's been their goal past couple of years, get young, sign a couple big-name free agents either this offseason or next offseason. And I think that this trade really helps them achieve that goal. So I think for this reason, the Lakers got a success out of this trade. Then for Cleveland, it definitely gives them a better bench. Larry Nance Jr. and Jordan Clarkson are both pretty good bench players. It's going to be weird seeing Larry Nance Jr. on the Cavs since that's the team his dad played for. But otherwise, I think it's a pretty good move for the Cavs too. Jordan Clarkson is definitely a better backup point guard than Derrick Rose is for the team. So I do like that. And then Nance Jr. backing up Kevin Love, maybe even starting with Kevin Love out with a broken hand. So overall, I think it's a move that benefited both teams, which in this NBA you don't see as often anymore. Then Cleveland made a lot of big trades today, so I'm going to be talking about them a lot in this video. They're going to be probably the main focus, actually. And the second big trade that they made was with the Sacramento Kings and the Utah Jazz. So Cleveland got Rodney Hood from Utah, which is pretty good. He's a good defensive shooting guard. Not the best in the league, but he is better than Dwayne Wade, Kyle Korver, J.R. Smith, Iman Shumpert, any of the guys who Cleveland currently had. I would say Rodney Hood is probably better. And you also got George Hill from the Sacramento Kings, who's a pretty good point guard, and giving him actually something to play for instead of having him just playing for the money that Sacramento gave him. I think that's really going to improve him since he hasn't been putting up the best stats with Sacramento this year, but I think giving him the motivation of potentially going to the finals, NBA championship, I think that that's going to motivate him into becoming a better player, and I think that this move for the Cavs was another success. And the Sacramento Kings ended up getting Joe Johnson from the Utah Jazz and Iman Shumpert from the Cleveland Cavaliers. For the Kings, this not really the best move they could have made. They could have gotten some slightly better players, but I see why they did it. George Hill was on a pretty big contract, so getting rid of him, getting another veteran in Joe Johnson and Iman Shumpert, it's pretty nice. So for the Kings, I'm not really concerned with what this trade does for them. It's going to be a pretty temporary thing. I've heard rumors that they're going to end up releasing Joe Johnson, so they might only end up getting Iman Shumpert out of this. But overall, for Sacramento, I think it's a pretty good deal. Not the best, not the worst, but they got what they needed out of it. Then the Utah Jazz ended up getting Jay Crowder and Derrick Rose from the Cleveland Cavaliers. Getting Jay Crowder, I think, is big, especially since Derek Favors is not the best power forward. They could definitely play him there. You could also have him or Joe Ingles coming off the bench as small forward, so that does give them some more depth. Then Derrick Rose is more likely going to be released and possibly picked up by the Timberwolves, which would just make them even more of a ex-Chicago Bulls team. The only thing they would need now would be for the Knicks to buy out Joakim Noah and then have him go to Minnesota, and then you'd essentially just have a Chicago Bulls team in Minnesota. I mean, they already have Taj Gibson, Jimmy Butler, and they're coached by Tom Thibodeau, so just a weird team. I think it's going to be really fun to watch them since it's a lot of guys who knew each other, who played well with each other, but just seeing them again on a team with a lot of young talent with Towns and Wiggins, I think that could be interesting. So for Utah, decent trade, not the best, not the worst. I think Cleveland definitely did get the best out of this deal, so I think this is definitely really good for them. Other teams, So that's that trade. The next trade and last trade that Cleveland made was trading Dwayne Wade back to the Miami Heat. They received a second-round pick from the Miami Heat, and in return gave the Heat back Dwayne Wade, which is really nice because most people think of Dwayne Wade as the Miami Heat. Having him on the Bulls and then on the Cavs was just really, really weird as an NBA fan. So having him back on the Heat, I know I've heard a lot of the team members, Hassan Whiteside, Goran Dragic, were very excited to get Dwayne Wade back, and I think he could definitely help them, especially since it looks like they're going to be going on a playoff run, maybe. So definitely that experience, having won multiple championships, is going to help the Miami Heat team down the road. So overall, with all these Cavs moves, I think this definitely makes them a better team, even if LeBron James decides to leave in free agency. I think a lot of these moves were made to try to convince LeBron to stay, to try to put them more in Eastern Conference title contention, since Boston and Toronto are definitely looking like they're in better shape than the Cavs are right now. But I think even if LeBron does decide to leave in free agency, the Cavs aren't going to be the worst team in the league. They still have the Brooklyn pick, somehow managed to get all these trades off without giving up the Brooklyn pick, which I don't know how they did that. But even if they do lose LeBron, I think they'll still have a decent team. They'll still have George Hill, Rodney Hood, Kevin Love, Tristan Thompson's But overall, I think the Cavs made a lot of really good moves this trade deadline, and it's going to be very interesting to see if this team works, and if it does, how good they're going to end up being. Then we have some other smaller deals that ended up happening, not involving the Cavs this time. First one is a 3-team deal between the New York Knicks, the Denver Nuggets, and the Dallas Mavericks. So the Knicks got point guard Emmanuel Mudiay from the Denver Nuggets, which, okay, Emmanuel Mudiay hasn't been the best point guard, but he hasn't been the worst. Putting him up with Ntilikina, I don't know who's going to be starting. Probably Ntilikina still. I'm surprised that the Knicks didn't trade for a power forward, though, since Porzingis just tore his ACL. Or that they didn't trade Courtney Lee, since he does hold a bit of value, since he was more of a 3-and-D type player that a lot of playoff teams would look for. Then Denver ended up getting Devin Harris from Dallas. Okay, giving them another veteran, a veteran point guard who has some championship experience, a lot of playoff experience actually, which is pretty nice, especially since the Nuggets are a pretty good, pretty young team. Nikola Jokic, Jamal Murray, and Gary Harris are making up the core of that team, and they're all pretty young. They have no playoff experience. So giving them someone alongside Paul Millsap who can guide this team, I think is really nice for Denver, and that this move from just a strategic standpoint could really help the Nuggets in the long run, maybe. And then the Dallas Mavericks ended up getting Doug McDermott from the New York Knicks. He was pretty good in Chicago, in all honesty. He wasn't the most consistent player, but he would come off the bench, and he played pretty well from the highlights that I've seen. And he didn't really do so well in Oklahoma City. He didn't do so well in New York. So hopefully being behind Harrison Barnes, where he doesn't have as much pressure since Harrison Barnes is still pretty good, maybe that'll get him going. I'm not 100% sure, but hopefully he has a pretty good time in Dallas. And we have one other somewhat big trade before we go into all the smaller trades, or at least some of the smaller trades. This is the Phoenix Suns getting Elfrid Payton from the Orlando Magic for a 2nd-round pick. This is very weird because Elfrid Payton was a lottery pick. He was projected to be the next good point guard for Orlando, and he just didn't turn out to be that. So the fact that they were willing to give him away for a 2nd-round pick is really sad, just from that standpoint. The Phoenix Suns did get a future point guard, or hope maybe they're point guard of the future, maybe not. Probably not, though, but at least a point guard until this year's draft comes around, when they could maybe get Trae Young, Colin Sexton, someone from this pretty good draft class, because they're definitely going to be one of the top lottery teams this year, or at least hopefully the odds will be in their favor and they'll get that lottery pick. So it definitely gives them someone to go with Devin Booker, and I think Elfrid Payton could actually benefit from being on the Phoenix Suns, since he's not going to be one of the primary options. Devin Booker is definitely the primary option on that team. Then you have TJ Warren and Josh Jackson if you want to rank them in that order. If you want to rank them in that order, you could definitely do that, and then put Elfrid Payton as a 4th option. So that could potentially work. And I think it's going to be interesting to see, can he revitalize his career in Phoenix? The smaller trades, we have Bruno Caballo getting traded from the Toronto Raptors to the Sacramento Kings for Malachi Richardson. Interesting deal. I think it saves the Raptors about $1 million, nothing too much. So hopefully Bruno Caballo can do decent in Sacramento. He didn't really do too much in Toronto, so hopefully he can do something with his career. Noah Vonleh getting traded from Portland to Chicago. Okay, I don't know what the Bulls are really going to do with him, since they already have Markkanen and Portis. But otherwise, I would say a decent move. Luke Babbitt getting traded from Miami to Atlanta. I don't really know what Atlanta was thinking, since they're tanking. They're one of the worst teams in the league right now, so I don't know why they're getting an upgrade at a position. And then you also have Jameer Nelson getting traded from Chicago to Detroit. That's definitely going to help Detroit a little bit. Maybe, I don't know, getting a veteran who has a bit of experience should be nice for them. And yeah, yeah, I think those are mainly the small trades that happen. Those are the bigger small trades that happen today. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed, comment your thoughts on some of these trades, and subscribe if you're new. This has been Electric VyPr, and I will see you guys in the next video.